Does the trust of the believer stand truthfully? Does the havoc in the eyes of man cause blindness? When one begins to locate who they are, they see they are a consideration of location. If you were to seek and wonder what was considering, you would see that you have just stepped on the mountain of your free will. You have stepped on the mountain of choice. You can walk in many ways. You can climb many paths. But again, once the being recognizes their subtler senses of existential allowance and choice they have, they see that they were never just the physicality, they were also the ideas that were inspiring that physicality. And those ideas came from how man looked at something and accepted what was there. And sometimes many of us are working with acceptances that are passed down to us, you know? It wasn't just torches that were passed down from generation to generation. Sometimes it was bad habits, sometimes it was mistakes, sometimes the greatest heroes realized their deed might have caused some problem, but it was for a greater good. This greater good meant transition, and this existential intelligence is one where the fluctuation is inevitable. You are shifting, transitioning, and at every moment, just like how a caterpillar intends to fly before it has grown its wings, it knows that the design is there. We have, right now, based on the self-awareness and the human consciousness present, an ability to see where we are evolving to and how we are there on our subtler planes. What that means, you may see a man sitting in a cave in the Himalayas, and you may wonder, gosh, what is that guy doing with his life? And you are not seeing the intensity of focus and exploration he is having into how thought is an origination. For when one looked at the karmic triangle, it seemed to be one of physical manifestation, one of the ideas that dictate physical manifestation, and one of the initiation of the dual eyes. Your acts are who you are, not your words. What that means is, if you really want to know who I am, throw away all my words and come and explore in a new moment of communication, because that is where we can work with the most updated actuality of life. As one is introduced to new flows of how thought will manifest for them, they will see it is based on a new edition. And the greatest thing about getting a gift or getting something new is your understanding of your experience of novelty. Novelty is your platform of freedom to then manifest into thought. Become aware of this. The ancients knew, the yogis knew, the mystics knew. Those people who didn't even know yet, they knew too. For you cannot ignore the truth that you are, but you can ignore the truths that you believe in or subscribe to or consider or assume or whatever. It's all about a difference in how you, on one level of reality, are using whatever you can with whatever relationship you have built in this plane of existence and observing it more collectively, more integratively, more collectively, to the point that there was never a need to integrate. And that is where freedom is found. For a being in temporal existence, the afterlife seems to only be serene, non-existent. What that means is you must actualize your experience here of the bliss that you are. It is within you. You are weaved by many planes of existence. What that means is on some level man is considering a hierarchy, but at the same time is not realizing how the hierarchy is shifting and it's a changing phenomena. So because there is so much change, man just got a bit lazy and started shaping it. And so that is how the idea of man came into place. And then it had the choice to be kind or not kind, unkind. And then he had the choice of how history has come. You must recognize you are a voice in this life. And if you're aware of things, if you know things, if you have skills that you think will enhance this being, immediately provide and share. Because more than you're living as your name in this society, in this culture, wherever you live, you are living as humanity. You're living as a member of this human species, and this member knows it does not have only an individual access of intelligence, for mankind's freedom came when human communication was freely done. To be existent and to be able to move in any way is your existential birthright. Policy is how we have accepted fantasy to be real. Because we still have questions. What that means is I thought every building known to man had its foundations were on the ground. But no, the foundations of known thought and knowledge is in the unknown, is in the absence of knowledge. It seems the truth of space is in the absence of space. And so what does this suggest for the experiencer lost to the domain of sensory perception? That he was never lost. Your ambition never needed a flaw. Give everything to this world, so you will walk with nothing. You will walk light. Communicate with a joy that is willing to create and co-create within the present moment, the moment that you are now experiencing. What that means is now. Let me just stop talking. Oh, eternal silence. So pretty much, we must become aware of how the search for the thinker is keeping a thinker there, and keeping that reality chained to certain limitations that the thinker cannot exist out of. What that means is the experiencer, which is within man, is transcendent and beyond the object of experience. And what that means is your experiencer is a fluctuation, just like how the golden ratio is between existence and non-existence, linear intelligence and non-linear intelligence. And you think at least it's separate, but then you begin to see you were given two eyes to see one view. Duality has always, in a unified way, welcomed you. You must initiate yourself by confronting your fears and actually developing a sense of challenge in this life. If you are living in a world where you need to externally handle things, that means you got work tomorrow, you got a lot of stuff to do and whatnot. We want to consciously do this, and when I thought about what they meant, I'm like, you can't ignore the unconscious. So the consciousness of man must not be something that we know based on past experimental data, but we know based on the novel experience, based on what is alive to interpret now. For there are many gaps, because when we sleep, it seems that we're only found in our dreams. But it seems that the awakening was done from an intelligence that knew it could awaken. What that means is the reason this being, this biological being, is evolving, for it knows it can evolve. The inspiration of how light has entered man's eyes is telling it to continue existentially. There is no science. If you suddenly began to see everything in your world naturally, as if the earth stopped growing, that would be a negative sign of the universal sector. You know, it'd be bad weather. But you need to be aware there is no limitation here, except the limitation that you choose to become aware of in the manner your experiences have molded you and carved your eyes to do so. In peace, transition beyond a need for peace. What that means is when you saw everything you were doing was not getting you closer to that state of greater consciousness activation, the action was to stop. And it meant a stop that stops all the ideas that are still speaking. Sometimes I find throughout my own life, there were moments where my self-talk was so amplified, it was increasing to a point where I'm like, gosh, I'm aware of it. And so when I actually looked at it, it was my own insensitivity. But it seems that evolution has always given me hope that the next answers that man will be receiving, the greatness of his afterlife will be coming from the greatest creation of man. What mankind leaves behind to see is what he has left beyond. In the love of your world, know yourself as all. Much blessings and namaste.